Is this okay, Wes? Hey everyone, it's Mallory here with All About Cats, and in this week's video we're going to be talking about the top 10 biggest mistakes people make when they set up their cat's litter box. Before I get into those 10 mistakes, I want to mention that Tuft and Paw, the creators of the Cove litter box behind me, one of my favorite litter boxes, is offering all About Cats viewers a 10% off coupon code, so enter All About Cats 10 at checkout to get that discount. With that out of the way, let's get on into those top 10 mistakes. So I thought this was an important video to make because litter box issues are the #1 cause of cat relinquishment. So if a cat's going to be sent back to the shelter, in all likelihood it's because they're not using the litter box. And the sad part of this is that our cats really want to use their litter boxes. A cat who's going outside of the litter box is probably just not happy. So I hope this video will help you to avoid some of those common mistakes and create a litter box situation that everybody can love. So the #1 mistake I see people making when they're setting up their cat's litter box is just the choice of litter box and its size. The issue is that most litter boxes available on the market are just too small. We have kind of a disconnect between what we think a litter box should look like and what is probably the most comfortable for our cats. And the common recommendation among behaviorists is to get a litter box that's at least 1.5 times the length of your cat's body from nose tip to the base of their tail. And generally this is going to add up to over 20 inches in length for a typical cat, and that's pretty big. We're not seeing a lot of litter boxes that large. But if you can, get a nice big litter box. This is going to enable your cat to go in comfortably, not touch a lot of waste on their way in, and also it allows them to turn around and feel nice and comfy in the litter box. So that's my #1 mistake. The second mistake I'll see people making is getting a litter box that's too deep or has too high of an entrance. So a lot of the time we want these higher sides because they help to reduce scatter, but you have to have at least a lowered entrance so your cat can get in comfortably. So generally I would be looking for something that's no more than maybe 7 or 8 inches off the ground, especially if you have an arthritic cat or a cat with some sort of mobility issue. You're really going to want to keep your eye on how low that entrance is. It also can present a little bit of a comfort issue because high size can limit your cat's visibility. And on that note, the next mistake is focusing more on privacy than visibility. So there are two things I think playing into this. One is that it's some kind of anthropomorphization. We tend to want privacy for ourselves when we go to the bathroom, and so we project that on our cats. The second issue is that we just don't want to see the litter box or what's inside of the litter box. And so when we put these together, we start seeing things like covered litter boxes, top entry litter boxes in closets, all of these things that make our cats feel a little bit more insecure in the box quite often. So the thing to remember is that your cat's quite vulnerable when they're in the litter box. They're kind of stuck there, and so they're relying on all of their senses to make sure that there aren't any predators or other threats coming at them. And so when you block off their view, they're going to feel a bit more insecure. Think about locking a cat into a closet or putting a cat underneath the covers. A lot of cats just don't feel comfortable with these confined spaces, and the same applies when we're talking about the litter box. So to avoid this, I would look for just an open litter box that allows your cat to see all around them. Another mistake is not getting enough litter boxes. So often we'll just get one litter box, put it out, and we'll expect our cat or multiple cats to use it. There are a couple of issues with doing this. In a single cat home, it can mean that if there's an issue with one litter box, they're not going to have any alternatives, and that can lead to so-called inappropriate elimination. And then in a multi-cat home, the cats aren't able to choose their territory. Some cats are fine using the same litter box, but for other cats, it's important for them to have their own separate litter boxes. So the general rule of thumb that I hear passed around the community and given by cat behaviorists is to provide one litter box for each cat plus an extra. I don't know that this applies for every household. You don't necessarily need 11 litter boxes if you have 10 cats, but as a rule of thumb, it tends to work. Just use some common sense and figure out what works for your home. My next couple of mistakes relate to the placement of the litter boxes. So one is putting the litter box up or downstairs. You want the litter box to be on ground level if possible. Forcing your cat to go upstairs or go downstairs can lead to some issues, especially if your cat's older, not so good at walking up and down stairs. You want the litter box to be as convenient as possible. Another mistake that people will sometimes make is setting up this really nice little cat area in the house. You've got your cat's food and water bowls, you have a nice scratching post, you have a tree, a bed, everything's really nice. But the problem is that putting the litter box in this kind of area with the food there as well can make your cat a bit uncomfortable. So in general, it seems that cats don't feel comfortable eating in the same place where they're using the litter box. So if you can make that nice little cat area, but try to put the litter box across the room, at least far enough away that your cat doesn't feel like they're eating and using the bathroom in the exact same place. When you're setting up the litter box, of course you need to think about the type of litter that you're putting inside of it. Cats tend to feel the most comfortable with relatively fine-grained litter that's not so fine and lightweight that their paws are sinking in. So if you can find a litter that's kind of has enough density to it that your cat's paws aren't sinking in, but also is not big and sharp or pelleted, that's going to be ideal. On a similar note, sometimes we'll try to destroy odors or cover them up by using a scented litter or by adding deodorizers. And generally, an unscented litter is just going to work best. So a good unscented litter, a good high performance unscented litter is going to be ideal. You don't want to add a lot of air fresheners around the litter box or scented litters, or even a lot of the common deodorizing agents that are added to litter. In most cases, you're just going to want a really simple, bare bones litter setup. And the second to last on this list of mistakes that people often make is adding all sorts of litter box accoutrements and fancy add-ons to the litter box that cats just don't like. So I haven't personally yet used litter box liners, but from what I understand, cats tend to not like them so much. Their claws get stuck and it just doesn't feel that great. So that's kind of a human convenience that doesn't work so well for cats. Another convenience item is the automatic litter box. So I know I've covered a lot of automatic litter boxes on this channel, and there are some automatic litter boxes that I do like, but for a lot of cats, especially those who are more timid, the movement of an automatic litter box is just too unpredictable and too scary, and the cat's not going to feel comfortable using it. So with all of these things, it's a matter of knowing your cat. Some cats are going to be okay with the liners. Some cats will be okay with the automatic litter box. But if you're seeing issues, I would generally try to avoid them. They're just not that cat friendly. And finally, the last mistake, at least on this list, that people will make when they're setting up their cat's litter box is trying to train their cat to use the toilet, the human toilet. So this seemed like it was a little bit more popular a few years ago, and for a lot of people I think it's a little bit more of a fun training project than really an alternative to the litter box. But if you're considering this, there are a few things to bear in mind. And one is that cats like digging and covering their waste. It's just a satisfying part of their routine, and taking that away from your cat could lead to some issues. The other thing to bear in mind is that while we do want a nice clean litter box, the cat wants it, we want it, there is some benefit to your cat kind of smelling the litter box and being able to kind of mark their territory with it. So just flushing away all of their waste down the toilet could take away that satisfying kind of territory marking aspect of using a litter box. The third thing to think about is that climbing up onto the toilet could be a little bit uncomfortable for some cats. So you want the litter box to be as convenient as possible, and the toilet just isn't. So that would be my last mistake. Avoid toilet training. It's not really the best choice for cats, and it could lead to some issues down the road. So that's about it for my top 10 mistakes. I hope you found it helpful, and maybe you noticed some mistakes you were making and you can correct them. And maybe you know someone who you think would find it helpful. Please go ahead and share it to them. I think we can help a lot of cats with this video. Again, so-called inappropriate elimination and litter box issues are the number one reason why cats are just given up to shelters. I hope we can, raise a little bit more awareness around the way to set up a litter box appropriately and help some cats stay in their homes. So please do go ahead and share it around if you think it could be helpful. So finally, if you're new here, I want to welcome you to the channel. I know we got a lot of new subscribers recently. We put out videos like this one just on general cat information, as well as product reviews, buyer's guides, and of course, weekly veterinary videos with Dr. Sarah Wooten. So if you're interested, please subscribe and join us to learn more about your cat and hopefully give them a better life. So yeah, thank you so much, and I hope to see you next week. Bye.